I started doing karate. Did real well with it. I was world rated in full contact karate back in the 70s. And then I started corresponding with Horry and Gracie, and when I saw Gracie in action, I mean, I was just pretty much hooked. I had an altercation as a police officer where boxing, karate, all of that didn't do me any good, but the jiu-jitsu did, and from then on I've just been doing jiu-jitsu. Hoist Gracie and I were real close. For some reason we just really connected when I went out to Torrance. So he was my main instructor. I mean, I learned from all the Gracies, but Hoist especially. When Hoist broke off from Horian back in 2000, in 2004, he gave out his first black belts. There were 5 of us, and I was the first one he handed it to, which is probably the greatest moment of my life, and I've had a number of them, so it really made me feel good. 6 years ago, almost to the day, I met Miguel. I just got my black belt, and Miguel called me up and said, Mr. Hardy, I saw on the internet you're going to be coming down to South Padre for a district attorney's convention. I said, yeah. He said, well, I've been training about 3 years, and I'd like for you to look at me as my blue belt. I said, well, I'd be glad to. So we met. He brought some mats, got out in one of the parks around here and rolled around a little bit, and I thought he deserved it. And in fact, I had given 2 blue belts before as a brown belt, but Miguel was my first blue belt after I got my black. I'd only been a black belt about 3 or 4 days. And he asked me if I had a problem with using Texas punishment crew, if he wanted to start a school. I said, no. I said, I think that was great. So he would call me every now and then and tell me, but I never thought that much of it. And about a year or so later, I've got people come up to me, man, your team is doing so good. They're winning, and these were people from Austin, Dripping Springs, and down around here. And I'm saying, oh yeah, man, oh yeah, they train hard. And I'm thinking, what in the world are these people talking about? And then Miguel called me and told me what they'd been winning, and I put it together. And after that, I started coming down, putting on a seminar, you know, whenever I could get down and didn't interfere with my job. And TPC South is an integral part, you know, of the Texas punishment crew. They were probably the second school that we had. There was Silsbee, and then McAllen, then Orange, Lake Charles, and then Nacogdoches. You know, the thing about jiu-jitsu, when you get people involved and they're really enjoying it, they're having a lot of fun, they want to compete. Now, the Valley has had a number of great boxers, and I mean, they show more heart than just about any boxers I've ever seen, and that's been proven time and time again. Well, it's the same way in jiu-jitsu. These guys really want to compete. And when they started hitting the mat in these competitions, I mean, they were wrecking people. They were just doing real good. And I would come out, I would show them this, I would show them that, and they learned a lot on their own, and they worked real hard. And, you know, like I've said, they really showed something else. You learn at these competitions. You learn, you know, you learn new things. These guys brought it back to each other, the ones that's fought, and now we've got TPC South fighting all over. Miguel just took 3rd in Chicago, you know, and they've fought internationally and fought nationally and done real well, along with my school in Beaumont, of course, Lake Charles, Nacogdoches, and Orange. You know, I've got, one thing I'm really proud of, Jason Ebarb, him and his brother were my first black belts, him and Randall. And Jason became the first Texas black belt to place in the Pan Ams, which is the 2nd biggest jiu-jitsu tournament in the world. And I was very proud of that. So we're doing good. Right now, I can't remember our record. It was something like 20-2 last year. This year, I think we're 5-2. We've had 2 champions, and you know, all our guys are very good. They work hard. The thing about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, as opposed to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is more of a sport form. Under Hoist, we do what's pretty much known as Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and actually that's a street fighting style. And Elio didn't really care that much about tournaments because he felt like it watered down the street fighting version. Mixed martial arts is pretty much right in the middle of that. So the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu transfers over. The things that we show and I, really push the TPC instructors to show, will work on the street as well as, in a tournament. And of course, when you add what they do in here, the strikes and everything that are street oriented, then it works out, and it works out real well in mixed martial arts. So our guys are, they have as much ability going in, or they have as much of a safety factor of knowing how to handle themselves because of what they learn here. And I feel like that's the main thing. And of course, that's the difference between Gracie. The tournament stuff as far as, compared to what we do. And there's nothing wrong with the tournaments. I like the tournaments because it gives you a chance to compete and get after it, and they're real good. But there are certain techniques that will work in a tournament that will not work in the street. What we do will work in the tournament and in the street and in mixed martial arts. I'd just like to say I really appreciate y'all and us able to get this art out there. The mixed martial arts is probably in my lifetime as big a phenomenon as I've ever seen. Boxing took hundreds of years before it became what it is. From 1993 until about 2 years ago, when mixed martial arts overtook boxing and is now passing it as far as the pay-per-view and everything else, the salary is getting up. That's phenomenal. That's 93, we're not to 2013 yet. So in less than 20 years, mixed martial arts has done and got to a point that it took boxing hundreds of years to get to. And I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud that, I was a part of it, especially here in this state.